Do you remember, Tracy, Mike coming into the project, who would be one of our first guys? Do you remember how that went right at the beginning?
When Mike first came into Havilah, he was under a layer of jumpers and a big hooded Parker jacket with his hood up, and he never spoke to anybody. He came because he heard he could get free coffee and toast and free food. And it took us quite a while, and not only did he hide under all these jumpers, but he was rather whiffy as well, because it was summer, and I think he had on everything that he owned. But bit by bit, just a touch on the shoulder, and just kind words telling me the hood came down, the jacket came off, and it was fantastic. He was the very first person that was sent to residential rehab, and it was just fantastic to manage to guide someone in that way. But if you remember, 12 days later he came out after he'd done his detox and went into Aberdeen, got himself in Aberdeen and managed to get hold of some heroin, and went missing for 4 days, and phoned us up and asked us to go and collect him, and we showed a bit of tough love and said, no, you've got yourself there and you've spent your money, you want to come back to Arbroath, you've got to do it. Anyway, he went missing again, and the police were involved. His mum called the police, and the police were actually at our house when Mike phoned us to say, I'm in Arbroath, and we got him to our house. The police had to see him, make sure he was okay, and he said he'd made a big mistake and he wanted to go back. So we kept him at our house that weekend. Didn't lock him in the bedroom, but was told that if he did move, the dogs would hear him. So we kept him in our house, and on the Monday got him back into Sunnybray, and it was fantastic. He then went on to do the whole programme and graduated, and is now doing really well working.
And that's it. And he was just the first, because trailblazer in some ways from Havilah, but then guys like Ryan, for example, and there would be times when we wondered, with somebody like Ryan, was he ever going to make it? And yet
some of these guys are sent 4, 5, 6 times to different rehabs, not just to Sunnybray. They then send them further afield, and then find out about other rehabs to down south that we could put them out so they wouldn't be seen.
But why don't you give up? Because somebody like some of these guys, you've tried everything, you've given them everything, and they still didn't get anywhere. What was it that just kept you believing in them and giving them another chance?
I think the most important thing for us as Christians is that we know that God never gives up on us. So we can't give up on these guys. So if we remember that, then we just hang in there with them through the good times, the bad times. They're people the same as us. They just have different problems. And some of the stories that we've heard over the years have been horrific. From sexual abuse, physical abuse, rejection, brought up in the care system. Just some horrific stories, and it's been hard. And I suppose you think you kind of get used to it, but it's still, when you listen to someone telling you that their life story, it's also a privilege to be, that they will open up and tell you these things. They'll say, I've never told anybody this before, and that they trust you enough to speak to you about.
Talking of Ryan, where's he at now? What's the latest?
Oh, Ryan was one of these guys that just drove me insane. I sent him to rehab. I think he was 5 times, something like that. And then we decided to send him to Wales. And I'd actually gone on holiday and left the instructions to get his bus and stuff and get him on the bus and that. Well, he was absolutely off his face. He overdosed in Birmingham, got put in a hospital. He doesn't remember any of it. I got a message to say he'd gone missing because nobody knew where he was, because he had no mobile phone or anything. And then he got to Wales. He'd done the same thing. He eventually got to rehab. Honestly, how he did, I have no idea. God certainly had a hand in that. He got to Wales, he got to the rehab, and that was where he finally cracked it and turned his life around. He's been there, must become 3.5 years, and he has, through the church that he's part of, have taken hold of 4 houses. They're running them as sort of a halfway house for guys that have addiction problems, and he's like a supported worker. He's a now paid supported worker, And he's got 12 guys he's looking after, and he's doing fantastically well. He's doing well in his church. He's a big part of his church, working with youth, and he's doing fantastically well.
There's nothing better than those stories when there's somebody who's come out of that world and is actually now putting back. He's helping others who are in the same place, and of course he knows their situation better than any of us ever will, because they've been in the same world. But for every Ryan, of course, we've had disappointments as well. And earlier this year, at the beginning of the year when we lost Big Jim, I mean, that was just devastating for everybody, wasn't it?
There was a guy who came here every day in life, and he was 51, and he'd more or less come from the beginning as well, so he was part of our family. We'd done everything for him, taking him shopping, we budgeted his money, we kept his money, we looked after when he needed new clothes, we took him shopping, and he was a huge part of everybody's life. But sadly, at the end of last year, his addiction just, he done good, he done bad, he done good, he done bad, but his body just couldn't take it anymore. And sadly, he was found dead on the 27th of December. And tragically, his brother hadn't seen him for quite a while, and so then phoned and asked me if I would identify his body, because he didn't know who would know him. And which I did, which was really, really hard, but it was good to see him finally at peace, and he looked so way better than he did when he was alive. It's ridiculous to say, but when we loved him so much, we really, really were heartbroken. I still are, because we still miss him. We were just speaking about him the other day, and
he was such a character around the place, wasn't he?
He was great fun, and
I remember when some of the dignitaries that we've had have come to visit our project, he was always right alongside them.
You had to sit down and find out who they were and get chatting to them. And,
but I remember, because you'll remember, I was, as minister, I took the service when Jim was buried, and I always thought that was a real privilege, because he was somebody who society would count of little worth, but from where I'm coming from, Jesus would have been there, wouldn't he? Because he was always there for the people who were excluded, people that the religious authorities would have nothing to do with. And I think in many ways, Havilah, this project, that's what it's all about. In Jesus' time, it was the lepers, tax collectors, all those people who were not in, therefore were out. And that's what Havilah's about, isn't it? We're there for those that are out.
It was amazing as well at his funeral, because his family had shunned him, and I invited two of his brothers to our house, and we spoke about Jim and told them lots of different stories about things over the years, and they were amazed. And we were able to tell them that Jim sponsored a child in Malawi, which they didn't have a clue about. They just saw Jim as being the drug addict in the family that, they'd written him off years before, and they didn't realise he had such a big heart, and how much he was loved. And they ended up feeling quite sad that they had abandoned him when they realised exactly. He used to love writing to that little boy in Malawi, and he just thought it was amazing, and he wanted to go to Malawi. That was his goal. Was he was going to get clean, and he was going to go to Malawi. Yeah, wow. Desperate to send him a Dundee United top.
Well, he had big dreams, and he was part of it. And some of the folks that we've worked with through the years, we have helped to get clean, to get their lives completely sorted, into college or work, and seeing their families come together again. But there's others where there's no great success story at the end of it, but we're still there. We're still there for people, supporting them through parts of life, and we're not only going to be there if we know it's going to be a success. We're going to work with people, whatever, aren't we?
But we're not going to change everyone. But as long as they know that we're here, on a day-to-day basis, and we have folks that we might not see for months, but they always come back. Yeah. They've come around for years, but they'll disappear for months on end, but they always come back. Yeah. So if they need us, they know where we are. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, Tracy, to think how far we've come in the 10 years since this project started, and it was absolutely great to have our 10-year celebration just a few weeks ago, and I guess that brought back to us how much we've done in that time. But can you remember what it was like way back at the beginning when we started out in such humble circumstances.
Yeah, I do. I think, sitting there week by week, waiting on folk coming in the door, not knowing whether it was going to work or not, but sure that something would happen, and believing that something would happen.
Yeah. And you see what you're saying there, because I have to be honest, I wasn't sure something would come of it. I really wasn't. I didn't know if it was the right model, but you guys, your commitment to it and your passion for it, you just wouldn't let it go. And I think that was the key. You just didn't give up, did you?
No, we didn't. And I think as well for us, not even just back in the very beginning, just as we've gone along, every time we've needed something, we've always got what we've needed, whether it be finance or, equipment. God has always provided exactly at the right time when we've needed things for the project. So, which made us believe that it was the right thing and we were doing the right thing.
And you're right, because we've had to learn to trust, because we've
Absolutely.
never had lots of money for the project. Some years we've kind of got to the end of the year with a few pence left in the bank account and one or two generous friends kind of helping out, but the provision has always been there. We've never been let down, which, as you say, has given us a real sense that that this is right, and that very much it's what we should be doing for the kingdom of God. But it's been hard, hasn't it? I mean, it's not been easy because of that.
It has been hard, and I think more so because none of us had any training, and the road that we first went on was people with heroin addiction, and none of the volunteers had any training or any contact with heroin addicts before that, and we had to learn as we went along and find training and just try to get an understanding of what it was like to for people with addiction problems.
And for you that's different, because I remember early chats we had, and you were saying before you'd become a Christian, if you'd been walking through Dundee, for example, and there was some addict or somebody sat at the side of the street begging, you wouldn't hardly would have turned your head to pay any attention to them.
That's putting it politely.
Well, you wouldn't have thought kindly on them for sure, and you've had that kind of inner heart transformation that now you look on them totally differently.
I did. I viewed them the same as everybody, all the rest of the world did. And if it wasn't for knowing Jesus, there's not a chance that I would be able to do this. Never mind, love these guys and hug them and get alongside them. But I think what makes this project work is the commitment as well from all the volunteers that we have, and we've got an amazing team that, and we have a fantastic camaraderie as well. For sort of 20 odd people getting together each week, we have an amazing bond and an amazing, and also the time when we weren't busy, it gave us a chance to bond as well and get to know each other as volunteers as well. So,
yeah, and of course we've got yourself and Karen as staff, but you're absolutely right, without the volunteers there's no project. And I've always so admired them, because very few of them, if any, really have any background in the whole world of addiction and how to support people in those ways, but what they have got in abundance is compassion. And really the only prerequisite we have, would I be right in saying it, is that for our volunteers is that they don't judge.
Love, empathy and non-judgmental. That's all we really ask of a volunteer. Then if you've got that, then you can get alongside the folks that come in here.
Yeah, which seems to make the difference, because from what we can gather, everywhere else they go, it's the very opposite. Unloved, always judged and made to feel insignificant. And here is the very opposite. They're valued for who they are, no strings attached, and it's what we've seen through the years. It's just that investing in people by way of valuing and loving begins to let them flourish and begin to be the people they're meant to be. And
I think also because we're not a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday service, although we're only open 12 till 2:30, basically we're on call 24/7, 7 days a week. We're there all the time. A lot of these guys have our mobile number, certainly mine, and they will call us in any hour of need, and we have reacted to a lot of situations.
Yeah, and I would never knock the professional statutory services, because they do lots of really good work in different ways. But it's often caused me to think, I can't imagine that professionals in other spheres would even go near to giving out their mobile numbers, but you do, because you're there for the guys other than just through office hours, as you say. And again, that's been crucial through the years, and them really getting to know that we do care. It's not just words, it's genuine.
Yeah, and also, we've taken them into our own homes. We obviously have to be smart and wise, who we invite and things, and we have done over the years, even for meals, Christmas, Karen and I and other volunteers have had some of these guys and girls for Christmas dinner and things, just because they've had nowhere else to go. I think that's really important as well when you're building relationships, and if you've got to back up what you're saying and what you're doing.